Chair, members of the Housing Committee here in the House, it's congratulations to you all on being appointed to this very important new committee. As all of us here, this is one of the more important issues that the legislature faces, so it's always good when the legislature does its job and makes a committee around that issue so we can actually study it. I'm here today not to say that HB 623 is a perfect piece of law or a piece of legislation, but to say that consolidation destroys economies, and what we're seeing happening with Blackstone and BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard, where these Wall Street firms, not for one political arm or the other, or one, just because they like power and wealth, and you get a lot of power and wealth when you own $23 trillion worth of the economy and everything else. I hear a lot about housing from my constituents, the issue of housing, and then I hear from some people in my party and other parties, well, we should get rid of zoning, we should do this, we should do that. There's a lot of issues around housing, but to me, I see the biggest issue with housing is that these major corporations are artificially manufacturing the market and rising prices by buying up these homes in a way that keeps us from having and participating in the market in a real way. As Representative Murray illustrated, when Representative Murray tried to buy a house, the corporation came in and bought it before them. And then there's plenty of stories about people who tried to buy a house and then the corporation comes in and buys it before them. So $23 trillion in assets. That's how much these big Wall Street firms have in their economy. Everything else, I think, is a bit of a joke. It really doesn't matter what your politics are on this issue. The world is being bought up by people that want to buy the world, and as they said in their conferences and things like that, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's the world that they want for us. So to me, the American dream should be the American reality. I want to own a home. I want to have a piece of land. I want to protect my family on that land. I want to make sure that the economy works, that the market is open for all people, it's transparent and honest. To me, if there's these corporations buying up LLC, people say Blackstone, but it's really also these fake LLC corporations, not what your question was referring to, but I look at you because you had brought up the LLCs, where people, they look at, oh, who bought my house? And it was this ghost LLC that if you trace it back and you have to go through 20 different shell companies, it ends up at BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, all three of these same companies. And they've got a million different shell companies all across the world, all across New Hampshire, that are buying up these homes and in different ways. And then it's able to say, oh, well, that was that LLC, that was this LLC. Well, follow the money. Where does that go? And it goes right back to these firms. So can we address this issue in a silver bullet kind of way with the New Hampshire legislature and its power? Maybe not, but I think that we can begin to address the issue by opening up maybe a potential subcommittee on this issue or a study committee, but just intaking the information that we're hearing across the state about the fact that these corporations are buying up these homes and maybe potentially figuring out some way to make HB 623 work for us and our people so that, as I said in the beginning, the American dream can be the American reality, and all of us at one point or another in our lives can own a home and own land and own and be happy. And so we're not a nation of renters. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And again, congratulations to your all appointment to this committee, and look forward to seeing the work that comes out of here.
Thank you for your testimony. Questions for Representative Wheeler? Representative Bolio.
Yes, thank you. And I very much sympathize with, the story and the frustration that happened that brought this legislation forward. I just really question, really thinking this through about, just how this mechanism would even begin to work, putting aside the constitutional concerns. But when you say non-natural person, does that include a nonprofit?
My testimony was around the issue itself. I think, as I said in my testimony, a subcommittee or a study committee on this issue so we can figure out how it works for the state of New Hampshire is much better than coming forward to this committee than with a stick in hand and saying, this is how that stick's going to hurt. I think coming with a carrot and maybe studying the issue and bringing together all the different stakeholders and in conversation and talking about the issue is a much better way to go about it than debating the minutia of what the drafting agents have brought forward us today.
I'm going to have a study committee of all the people, all the reps that testified in favor of this bill.
I'm so,
And then
put,
you
put me
guys
on
can-
it.
then
Put
you
me on
guys
it,
can
Mr.
be-
Chair. Put me on
have
it.
at it.
Tap me in. Tap me in.
Representative Dumont.
Thank you, Chair. How often do you see these large corporations doing what you are saying, buying up large amounts of single-family property in the state of New Hampshire versus residents of the state or possibly residents from another state moving in?
I don't think we have specific data on what these corporations have done in the state of New Hampshire, but there is data across the country and across the world as to how much these corporations have bought in, and I think you could probably average that data out. In New Hampshire, I don't have that data off the top of my head, but what I would say is that over the course of these last, especially since legislation was passed 5 years ago by the federal Congress to make this a little easier, that this has been happening. I mean, this has been happening for a long time, but it's accelerated a lot over the course of the last 5 years. And I'd be happy to send any information about that nationally. Yeah, thank you.
Representative Reed.
Thank you. I'm so glad you quoted the line, "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy." I was thinking that the entire time. So you touched on the idea that there's been reticence around issues like this in terms of solutions to the housing crisis, that a lot of the attention has been refocused on zoning, and specifically on supply and demand.
Yeah.
As if that's the only cause to the housing crisis. And my question is to you, since our demand, our supply of housing is not going up at the rate it should, but is not decreasing, right? The houses are not burning down. Has the population of New Hampshire increased so significantly in the last 5 years that it's demanded a triple or quadruple value that we've seen? Has our population increased that much?
No, absolutely not. I mean, everyone in my town, I bought my house for $100,000 and then the house down the street just sold for $500,000. I can't believe it. And they get very worried and scared. So no, Representative Reed, our population, as far as I understand, has been quite stagnant over the last 8 years.
Representative Thaxton.
Just to clarify that question, the population of New Hampshire has increased by about 30% in the last 4 years.
Well, I'm happy to stand corrected. You know the numbers better than I.
Great. Any other questions for our representative? Right. Thank you, Representative Wheeler. Representative Siebert.